Good morning and Happy New Year to everyone. Please feel free to do event check-in. This will give you access to additional resources and information about events that we are running on Reactor, which are around similar topics to today's session. I will share the event check-in link with the event ID in the Q&A section shortly. Thank you all once again for joining us today. My name is Rashmita and I'm the event planner for Microsoft Reactor Bengaluru, India. The session will run over the next 2 hours, including Q&A. The session is being recorded and will be uploaded to our Reactor YouTube channel. I will share the link to our YouTube channel in the chat section soon. Quick word on our code of conduct. We display this at all Microsoft Reactor events that we run and is just a reminder to be aware of others. Key thing to take out here is to be respectful of other people's views, understanding of differences, being kind and considerate in the way you engage. The chat will be open throughout and we do encourage you all to participate. Also, please keep your mics muted during the session. I would now like to welcome Shivam, our speaker for today's session. Shivam is an author, cloud architect, speaker, and co-founder at TechScalable. Being passionate about ever-evolving technology, he works on Azure, GCP, machine learning, and blockchain. He is also a Microsoft certified trainer. But for now, I will hand over to Shivam to begin the session. Over to Shivam.
Thank you. I will just quickly share my screen. Hello, everyone. How are you? Hope everyone is safe and doing well. So today we will be talking about building and deploying applications to Azure by using GitHub Actions. That's the main agenda for the day. And to do that, we will be using, I have one application with me. It's basically a microservice. And we will be deploying that microservice to Kubernetes, AKS. And then we will create the CI/CD pipeline to that application. So just to give you the context before we start with the session, so let me just quickly show you the app itself. Just give me 1 second. Okay, so I have taken this application from Microsoft's repository itself. It's basically an e-commerce website which is built with with microservice architecture, and it is having multiple services over there. We'll just quickly have a look at that, and we will check out the fundamentals of GitHub Action. And then I will take some time in the whiteboard. I will explain what we are doing today, and I will relate the CI/CD steps with the equivalent steps which we have to do with the help of GitHub Action, and we will create the entire pipeline today, right? So in this e-commerce website, if you can see that so this right now is deployed in Azure. So I don't want to waste your time. So I have done you can say the vanilla deployment of the application, and I have just executed one script. I'll provide you all the links how I have done it and so on and so forth. So if I take you to my Azure portal, and if I take you to the resource group over there, this is the resource group where I have one Kubernetes cluster and one container registry, ACR, and this is where that application is deployed right now. The application is basically having microservice architecture, and the architecture is available over here. So we are having catalog items. We can filter the items by type, by brand, by shopping basket. We can work with the checkout system. Registration is there. You can log in, log out. You can review the orders, right? This is the architecture of that application, which is already deployed, right? And we will create the CI/CD pipeline for this application today using GitHub Action. Now, if I can just zoom in a little bit more for you, it is basically having identity service, catalog service, ordering services there, and basket microservices there. I have another picture with me which is more related to my demo. So I will just quickly show you that picture. I will open my whiteboard and just put it over there. Okay, so notice this. Catalog service, ordering service, payment gateway is there, basket microservice is there, and we will be working from the point of view of this coupon microservice today, right? This is so whenever so these steps which I'll execute from the point of view of this particular service over there. And what does it? So if it just to see what does it do as such, it's a pretty typical application. I can just log in over here, and there are few default username and passwords which are provided by Microsoft for anyone who is using this in any demonstration to log in with. Okay, so if I just show this to you, you can add the product catalog items in the cart, and once everything is in the cart, you can click on checkout, and then this you see this discount code. This is what we will be deploying, or this is what we will be working with in this session. And if I just click on place order, it just places the order, and it will say the order has been placed and everything is checked in over here. It just shows over there. Okay, so now how are we going to create this CI/CD pipeline? I will just quickly open my notepad. Now, to be able to understand GitHub Actions, these are a couple of IP addresses which I have copied when I deployed this application, and I will be showing you how we need these things in some time. So let me just put them somewhere. Okay, so to understand GitHub Actions, we have to understand the elements of GitHub Action, and it's not a very difficult thing to do. So the session is more, you can say it is beginner friendly today. And even if you're new to DevOps, you will be able to understand what is CI/CD pipeline, what is DevOps, and how logically is GitHub Action providing the entire. It is removing the friction between the developers and the operations team. So to understand GitHub Action, we will be talking about the events which are generated. There is a workflow which we will create in YAML format as such. We have to write some jobs, and we will be talking about steps. What is job? What is step? We will talk about what is runner, what is action, what is script, basically. So in a nutshell, this is what we are doing. We'll try to keep the session in next, we'll try to finish in next 80 to 90 minutes over there. So I'll just move it to my secondary screen, and I will quickly open my whiteboard, and I would like to start from a pretty fundamental, or you can say pretty uh, in a manner which is, you can say, friendly to the beginner. So in case you already are an expert in DevOps, if you're an expert in creation of CI/CD pipeline, if you know all the phases, what is artifact and so on and so forth, then the first half will be like a recap to you, or it's even possible, or just hang in for me for the when we start with the GitHub action, right? And if this is something, if you're working, if you're new to the DevOps platform, this will be pretty useful for you. Okay, so check this out. Now, basically, if I start from somewhere, you have to think in terms of, let's say you are the business owner, and this is where you are, and you have to provide, and these are your customers over here. I'll give you a quick recap of DevOps as well, right? So let's say these are your customers. Now you want to be competitive. You want that your business, you should make more profit. Definitely you should provide, you should retain your customers. Customers should be happy with you. Uh, and and so on and so forth. So the so from your business point of view, you want to provide and you want to gain some competitive edge, and you should not lose your customers and so on and so forth. So from your point of view, you have to provide good experience to your customer. You have to provide some sort of value to the customer, so the customers are sticking with you. Now, if I think in terms of the developers, how are we going to provide this value? I have this e-commerce website with me. I want people to go over there. It should be responsive. Things should work together. Things should not go down and so on and so forth. We should have new functionalities, new capabilities also. So how we can do all of that? So this is where I bring in the developers. So this is where we have the developers, and these developers are working on those various microservices, which I was showing you a few minutes back, and over there. And from their point of view, they will be creating the various microservices, and they will be pushing the changes. They will create better things, more you can say they will make the changes in the UI. They can make the change, they can introduce new things, and so on and so forth. They can integrate with machine learning. They can do a more targeted, they can provide some sort of model which is doing a more targeted recommendations, which is more beneficial than just a blanket recommendation as such. So now from the point of view of these developers, we will be so they want to provide those changes as such. So let's put a change over here. Now, if I put another team as such, this is the operations teams, and this operations teams wants to make sure that everything is running. The production system doesn't go down. The what the scaling should happen properly. We should also be doing, you can say we should also be doing some sort of cost saving, and everything is there. Uh, everything is, and they're responsible for all of this, and they want to monitor the you can say environment, and they want to make sure that everything runs. Now what they want is basically stability. They don't want any change to happen. How can you make sure that nothing goes wrong is basically, if you let's say if something is running, let's keep it running. Let's not make any change which can break it as such. So from the point of view of operations, we will be so they want no change over there. Let's say no change. So this is where the conflict happens, because we want to provide the value to the customers, and for that we have to provide the changes to the customer. That's, we can say, that's the main objective of the developers over there. And secondly, we have operations teams who don't want any change. They want stability. They want things to run and keep on running as such. Now this is where, to avoid that particular conflict, we want to introduce, we want to unite them. This is where we will have the DevOps coming into picture, the DevOps tools, the CI/CD pipelines, which can unite both of them, which can reduce the friction which is there between these. So in a nutshell, if I just uh, put what is DevOps, DevOps is the union of, I'll just quickly put some definition over here. So if you think about what is DevOps, we will be just putting it like this. DevOps is the union of people, process, product to enable the continuous delivery of value to our end customer. So we want to provide value to the customers. This value can be in terms of anything which is, you can say, improving the customer experience, or and so on and so forth, from any point of view. Now, how do we do that? So to be able to have to be able to unite the different teams together, and to be able to smoothly provide value to the end customer, we have to make some changes as such. So if I just think from the business point of view, so typically you gather the information, you gather the requirement, and once the requirements are gathered, we will start, you can say the requirement is gathered and understood. So let's say this is requirement gathering is going on over here. And then we do the delivery of and then we start the project, and let's say after 6 months we have a delivery over there. So now if the time which is there between the requirement gathering and the delivery, this is something maybe 6 months or more, and so on and so forth. So this becomes a problem. So if there is a long time between the requirement gathering and the delivery of that particular functionality, then that creates a problem. Couple of things comes to mind, that it is possible that whatever requirements are there in today's fast changing world, the technology may have changed, the competitors may be using something new. It is possible the requirement is no longer relevant, customer is not happy, or whatever you created is not what the customer was looking for. So many things are there by which you can say we can have some customers who are not happy with what we are doing. So we want to eliminate that long time. I'll remove this picture for now. So that long time is something which is not working out for us. We want to eliminate that. So, okay, right. So instead of that long time, what we want to do is we want to have small loops over there. We want to make sure that we will be doing some, you can say we have a cycle, and in that cycle, multiple phases are there. And with the help of those phases, small loops are running. And with those small loops, we are providing some sort of incremental value to the customer. You don't have to wait for 6 months, or you don't have to provide the entire product with all the features one day, and it may not be relevant. You have to be more reactive to the changes which are there. So in small loops, we want to provide small incremental value to the customer. So this is one of the fundamental idea behind why DevOps is there, why we have this field, and what we will be doing today. So let me just put that. So let's say small incremental values over there. Okay, now how do I provide this small incremental value? How do I create these small loops? This is where we will be having a type of cycle as such. Now, more or less things may, you can say some, I may have put some phases. Uh, Typically, on a higher level, basically we will be starting with the planning phase. Let's say there is a in that cycle, you have to plan. Now this is where the customer's requirement will come into picture, and this loop is supposed to be small. It's not supposed to be pretty, you can say it's not supposed to be as long as 6 months and something. It's supposed to be, we are supposed to do small incremental delivery of value to the customer. Now you have to plan. So when we do the planning, this is where the requirements will come into picture. So requirements are coming here like this. Now the requirements will be from the point of view of what, like in that point in time, whatever is the next most important thing you want to provide to the customer, that is something which you can figure out, and that is what you want to put in that small loop in that point in time. Now if I do the planning, I will be, so whatever requirements were gathered and understood, we will be developing that. So this is where we have to develop it. Now here, to develop the requirement to get my payment gateway running, to get the coupon service running, this is where I have the team of developers. It may be, you can say, uh, I'm just putting, you can say, a couple of uh, icons over there. Now basically these developers will be, you can say, will be working on multiple functionalities, and they will be two, and because it's not a single person, we want them to be able to collaborate with each other. So in that particular cycle, we have to be very careful. We have to provide some sort of collaboration option over there. So so you can say we can be confident enough that the small value which we are going to provide to the end customer is going to, when you deploy that, it doesn't brings your, you can say, it doesn't brings the deployment, you can say, the production environment down, or we want to be confident. So we want to provide some sort of collaboration. We want to get the incremental, the commits from all the developers. So this is where your repository comes into picture. So we will be using, uh, uh, so Git is what we will be working with. So now typically there will be, let's say I'm putting this, you have main or master branch. Now we call it basically a main branch as such, and this is where, and in your repository, uh, and these people are working on some new functionality, so they have created some feature branch over there, and this feature branch is basically getting pulled and getting merged with the main after some time. So when we work in this manner, we do not want the feature branch to be isolated for a long time. We don't want that the developers are committing the code once in a month or like that. We want to get that small unit of work which they are doing, and we want to frequently, uh, you can say, commit that. As such, we want to run some test on top of it. This frequently running thing is where CI, continuous integration, comes into picture. So we want to, so if I just define what is CI will be that we want to bring the small unit of work over here will be like, let's say there is a code block which they have written, small unit of work, and we also want to get this work very frequently. We don't want very long isolated periods as such. So frequent integration should be there. So how do I do that, right? So the next thing which I will just put in this cycle will be deliver. So if I have to define the CI/CD, where is the CI/CD in this cycle? CI/CD will come here. So this is where CI/CD goes. Now, whatever you have created, if I create a new payment gateway, if I create a sort of new, let's say in the coupon service, we start, we enable the logging or we enable something over there, then you have to operate on that. Whatever you have deployed will be operated on. People will use it. So when people will use it, they may be, you can say, we will be getting more, we will learn from that, whether it is working out or not, what changes should we do in future, what is the next best value which we can deliver to the customer, and so on and so forth. So once we have learned all these things, and then the planning phase comes back again. So on a pretty high level, this is your small incremental loop which we want to run very frequently to be able to provide that incremental value delivery uh, as well. Now, how do I practically do it? To be able to practically do it, we will have CI/CD. So now, uh, so this is from here we start the, you can say that we are hitting the main topics now, and we'll see how GitHub Actions will help us out. Now, the very first thing which comes into picture, so these are my developers over here, right? Like this, they are all working from home, or they are maybe working from office, and so on and so forth. These are various development environments. They are right, like this, and there is a repository. So this repository can be GitHub. This repository can be Azure repo as well. Other products are also there. Whichever you want to use, you can use. It's basically the logic remains same. And the so what we want to do, we want them to you can say commit the code very frequently. So this is whatever changes they are making, they are committing in that repository. So I will just put continuous integration on top of it. So continuous integration like this. So everything is getting checked in over there. So this is the CI part. Now, if I just create a pipeline over here, because I just want to represent it like a pipeline. So let me just make a pipeline. So this is my CI pipeline, right? That's how it looks like. So now when, okay, so practically, if you if we really think it through, like what steps do we want to do? So if if I just summarize, or if I just filter the overall idea, so whenever the small frequent unit of work is being merged together, or it is being you can say committed in the repository, you want to do a couple of things over there. So practically one thing which comes to mind is that, okay, from the point of view of security, we want to check out whether there is any vulnerability or not. We want to make sure that the code is not vulnerable to any type of attack. You must have be aware of SQL injection or any other type of you can say layer 7 attack which may happen because of your code not being of some specific you can say of some baseline quality. So let's say from the point of security, I want to check that my code is not vulnerable. So I'll just put vulnerability over there. I also want to make sure that there is no secret which I'm putting in the in any configuration file. There is no key, there is no primary key, there is nothing getting checked into the repository which get leaked, and then we have a problem later on. So that is something which I want to make sure. Secondly, if we are getting these frequent small unit of work, you definitely would like that frequent unit of work to be able to build as well. You want to compile the uh, the code base, and you want to make sure that it compiles basically. Now once things are built are compiled, you want to do some testing on top of it. So now once you have done some testing, we will also would like to get some output out of it. Now the output, I'm just putting artifact over here. So let me just put artifact, and I'll just put it as output. I want some output to happen. This output can be one container image, it can be a Docker image, and now the Docker image, which may be one of the output, we want to store that somewhere. So that's what we will be doing today. We will be storing it in container registry, but logically that's what I want to do. Now I also, so okay, so if I do all of these steps, right, whenever the small frequent work of unit of work is coming in, I want to make sure that we do some scans, we want to check for secrets, we build, we test, we store the artifact in some location. So if you practically think it through, like how will you do it? Like this is some sort of compute task, right? You have to run some job somewhere. and that somewhere location is, I'm just putting it up like a box over here. So you see this box which I'm creating. This is the compute location required where we will be running all those steps as such. So this compute location will be typically a virtual machine. So compute will be a virtual machine like that. Now, if you are familiar with Azure DevOps, we call it as agents over there, right? The agents, right? In today, we will be calling this compute machine runner, right? From GitHub Actions point of view, this machine is called as runner. So let's say runner. Okay, so let me just say, so we will be creating or we will be working with some runners. So GitHub Actions. Now okay, so where is this machine now? This machine can be in the cloud, and today it will be. It can also be on premises. It can, okay, so if I just put a couple of things over here, so where this machine can be, this can be in Azure cloud. So this is Azure cloud. This machine can be hosted by GitHub. So GitHub will provide us with runners, and this machine can be on premises, on-prem. The type of operating system which are supported for the runners will be, it supports macOS, it supports Linux. You can have these runners as Linux, and you can have the agents which are Windows based. So all the operating systems are provided to you. Now practically think it through. So we are running all of this. We want to build the code base right now in this runner. So obviously I have to install some dependency inside that runner. So in your CI pipeline, if I just put some steps over there, so I have to install dependency. So I have to define that. Now dependency like this. Now, once this I have installed the dependency, we also would like this dependency to not be vulnerable. We don't want any package which was found to be vulnerable, or any version. Let's say you are using some old version and the new version is the one where the that particular bug has been fixed. So you definitely would like to make sure that the dependencies which you are installing inside the runners are not having any vulnerability. So where do I install this? I'll just say in the agents over there, right? Or slash runners over there. So now in my CI pipeline, once I have put all the dependencies inside the runner. The next thing which comes to mind is that we build it. We compile everything together, whether it builds or not, because it is possible that all the changes which you are making are not compatible with the existing you can say code base, and then it doesn't build. Once you have done this, next thing comes to mind will be some sort of testing. You want to do unit testing. So today I will just show you the unit testing part of it, and you may be doing some in other sessions, you may go in more depth into it. So let's say we are doing unit testing over here, or you can do some sort of integration testing over there. Now, if it runs, great. If it doesn't run, then let's say if something fails over there, then we can open one work item, and then we can associate or we can assign this work item to one of the developer to fix it over there. So this got assigned to this person, right? Now, after the testing, see, why are we doing all of this? We want to be able to have some artifact created, and that artifact should be good enough to be deployed in the production location. So if I just extend this CI pipeline in another step, I want some output, right? Everything should have some sort of ROI or output, or some you can say. So we'll just say create artifact, right over there. Now, if I create some artifact, what this can be? This can be uh, like a container image. So you may have Docker, and inside Docker, and this is your Docker image over here, right? You may also be creating one release as such, and as part of the release, you may have the zip file, and you may put some version over there, and that version is basically stored in your repository for further purposes. So the artifact which gets created as part of the CI pipeline, it has to be stored somewhere. So when it comes to the Docker images, we already have the answer. Most of you might have already worked with the ACR before. So in Azure, there is a repository where we keep the Docker images, and that repository is called as Azure Container Registry, ACR. So this is Azure Container Registry, right? So the artifacts needs to be registered, needs to be uploaded. If you are aware of machine learning, the artifact for machine learning process will be the trained model, right? The pickle file or the trained model which is there, that will be stored in the in literally in ACR. That's the same thing which we use for MLOps as well. So the artifact came over here. Now, if I put the artifact in this particular ACR, just give me 1 second. Okay, so if I put the artifact in the ACR, there are a couple of things which comes to mind. Like logically, we want to do some sort of scan over there. We want to make sure that the image which we have kept over here is properly created. We want to make sure that it is not having any security vulnerability. So if you are aware of, let me just put security scan. Security scan. You must have heard about one of the Azure service called as Azure Defender. Uh, Azure Defender is, so I'll just put it over here. So this is Azure Defender can help us out. It has functionalities to be able to monitor the ACR and will give you some suggestions, and it will give you a security score whether things are fine or not and what changes do you want to make over there. So this is my artifact getting uploaded in the registry or repository over there. So this is the CI pipeline which we need to create, install some dependencies inside the runners, and in runners are virtual machines which can be hosted on GitHub, Azure, on-premise. They can have Mac, Linux, Windows operating system. We will do the build operation. We will test it out. We will create the artifact. We will store it. Now, this if I just take you back to my Azure subscription, and if I just show you my resource group, this is the container registry over here. You see this? This one, eShop, learn, and some random number. This is the one which I'm going to use as the artifact where, as the repository or registry where the artifact will get uploaded. Right? I haven't configured it, and we'll do it together. But just to show you that I have done the baseline infrastructure creation, so we don't have to extend and see all of that. Now, okay, so this is where the CI part comes into picture, right? So this is CI. Now, let's say, now I want, see, if you have created some artifact, you would like to make sure that can you even, you can say, can you even deploy this in production or not? Do you have the confidence to be able to do that? If you upload, if you make any change in the production, will it crash, or what will happen? Or do I have to do a rollback? Or I want that confidence, then if I'm providing that incremental change should work, right? So I am just going to make another pipeline, and this is where I bring in continuous delivery. So continuous, let me just again, continuous delivery, like that, right? Like this. So now in this continuous delivery, we will be having various phases. So the artifact creation will be the trigger for your continuous delivery pipeline to execute, and this will trigger that. Right. The same thing we will be also doing. We will see that how can we have the trigger from GitHub Action, and which will do the next step. Now, if I want to get the confidence that my things are going to work, if I can deploy it in some locations, and if it works over there, if I do some testing on top of it, and if everything works, then I'm confident that I can take it to production. So if I think from the point of view of continuous delivery, so continuous delivery is all about being ready for production. So I want that the code or the artifact which I have should be ready for production. So ready for production, like this. So if I just make some arrows over there, I'll explain that in few seconds. If I just, you can say, make some arrows over there. So this is my, I will deploy this to the test environment. I will do some deployment to the stage environment, and I will one day deploy this to production. Now, if this extend till production, right? Let's say if I do that deployment in the production using any of the design patterns which are there, any of the deployment patterns which are there, maybe you're doing a canary release, or you are doing some sort of ring formation, in a ring manner you release it, or progressive release is there, or maybe you are doing some sort of, if you are aware of the swapping of the slots in Azure Web App, if you are doing some sort of you can say blue green deployment, then all of those things comes into picture. But if I take this arrow to the entire, and if I deploy this in production, this is where the continuous deployment comes into picture. So I'll just say this is continuous deployment, so which we will be doing. So like this. Okay, so how can you be sure that things are going to work out? How do you know that? You will create some environment here. So I have to create environment. Now this environment can be a new environment, it can be existing environment, right? Both things are possible. So it exists or it is new. Same thing happens for the stage over here. So the environment needs to be used or created. I'm just going to put build the environment, right, slash exist. So this needs to be done. Okay, the production environment may already be existing. You just want to make sure that if you are making any change, that environment is compatible enough to be able to run that change which you are doing, or whatever you're deploying is compatible. So maybe I'll just put build and or exist over there, but let's say it is already existing. You just want to validate that. Now, how do I do this? So this, if you must have heard about infrastructure as code, right? So this is where IAC comes into picture. Now, if you're working with Azure, you may have already worked with the Azure templates which are there. Now, Azure templates or Terraform templates are there. So Terraform, or if you are aware of Bicep templates are there. Now, these infrastructure as code templates will be stored in the repository, and you can do the you can also do the version control on top of these templates as well, by which we are creating these environments, maybe here, maybe there, or maybe in this location. Now the environment, it is very important that the environment should be consistent with each other. There is no point of doing so see, if you deploy something over here, so if I just put another step, so I deploy the artifact, right? I deploy the artifact here, and I do the deployment over here. Right, if I deploy something, so I want to do some testing on top of it. So let's say over here, and let's say some sort of testing over here, and maybe a smoke test over here, like this. So some testing is done. Now, it is very important that the it is pretty important that the environment which you are creating is consistent with each other. The production environment will be pretty scalable, right? You may have multiple front-end instances, you may have multiple, you may have a scale set in Azure, you may have AKS cluster in Azure, and so on and so forth. So that's definitely will be the case with production. It will be pretty, you can say, you will be investing more resources over there. But it doesn't make sense that if whatever, but the test environment may not be equal in size to the production environment, but it should be consistent with the environment. So whatever testing you are doing in your test and stage, it doesn't make sense if the environments are not consistent with each other, because if things are working here and the environment is different in the stage or in production, then it anyways may fail, right? So consistency of the environment is important. So IAC comes into picture. It will make sure that we will be, you may have heard about desired state configuration, DSC. So we will be able to do DSC with these ARM templates, and we can make sure that if there is any drift from the baseline, you bring the environment back to the baseline. Now, once I have done this, so if I just put it over here, let's say I want to deploy something. So we have deployment patterns. Deployment patterns are there, right? So if I just put few deployment patterns which comes to mind, and we will try to relate it with Azure services which you may be aware of. So you may have if you know Azure Web App, we can create slots over there. You have production slots, you have staging slots, and then you swap the slots and so on and so forth, right? So and it is also possible with the help of Azure Traffic Manager, or natively also inside Azure Web App, we can do a Canary deployment. You can specify the percentage in which the new changes will be visible to the customers. So I may go for Canary deployment over here. So let's say it's a percentage of the population to which I want to show the changes. So maybe we have a load balancer, and this load balancer is doing a traffic bifurcation over there. So like this. Second thing is there is a blue green deployment. You have made some changes, you are deploying it, and then you are flipping that. So blue green over there. Now progressive changes will be there. You want to see that if you have introduced some new functionalities, how the customers are reacting to it, because it's in the end of the day, it's all about providing value to the end customers. They should have a better experience, they should get some value out of it. So now I may be doing some sort of ring type of deployment. It's called as progressive deployment. You deploy to some you can say part of the population, then you deploy the then changes to the more bigger population, and then bigger and bigger, and so on and so forth. Or you might be doing a in place upgrade. You just remove the production environment, and you in place upgrade that. Now this in place upgrade is also done in a manner that it should not bring it should not do a big downtime. So these type of deployment patterns are there, which if you're working in this field, you have to uh, do it or deploy that. Now I will just keep it like this. And if I just zoom out, and we'll just quickly recap what we have talked about, and please put your questions in the chat window. I will just go through the questions as well, and I will just start with I will just relate whatever we have talked about with GitHub Action, and we'll create one workflow in GitHub, and we will do this over there. So just to quickly recap first, we need the repository, we need the CI pipeline, some sort of testing should be done, we need runners, we need to install dependency, the test will be done, the artifact which is getting created will be uploaded in some location. So that location is already existing for us. I have executed one script which has deployed it, and that's where we will upload it. And let's say that particular location will be the trigger for the next pipeline. And there is a deployment testing location, there is a production location, there is a staging location, and environment needs to be built over there, and then deployment, and then testing, and so on and so forth. So if uh, if I have to do this now, I will just quickly you can say let me just go here. Now if I have to practically do this, so I will also open my GitHub repository. So let me just go here. So what I have done, I will just close a couple of tabs so I don't get confused. And this is my repository. I have taken this e-commerce website from Microsoft. So this is it's in my repository now. And this is the one which we are using for the example, right? And this is right now working as such. We can see it is deployed in AKS and seems to be working fine. And there is a dashboard to check all the microservices which are there, and everything is green. It looks okay right now. Now, if I just take you back to my diagram and just try to think it through. So let's make some boxes now, right? So this is GitHub. This is GitHub over here, which I showed you. This is GitHub, and this is my Azure subscription. The Azure subscription as such, where the Kubernetes cluster is running, where things are there inside that. So I'll just put one more box over here. So we have a resource group, definitely, right? And I will just sip some water. Okay, so this is the resource group like this. And inside this resource group, I have the Kubernetes cluster, AKS. And this is where my e-commerce website is running as such. So AKS, and I have the ACR with me. ACR is the repository where the artifacts will be stored. So ACR, like this. Now, if you are aware of Azure, then you know that the subscription will be trusting the Active Directory. So this is the trust relationship, and this is Azure AD. Now, to be able to do some task inside Azure, you have to authenticate, and you should have the authorization to be able to do that. If you don't have that authentication authorization, it's totally, you cannot make any change over there, right? You cannot even see, if you don't have the correct rights, you cannot even see the resources, right? So what we need to do is we need to create some service principal over here. Now this is where I'm assuming you know what is service principal. It's called as app registration. You must have seen that in any previous demos where application was being deployed to Azure. So that's a service principal. We also need to create that. Now this service principal, we will take that service principal. I have not generated that yet. And I will go to my Azure. So I'll go to GitHub, and in the settings of the repository, I'll go to my repository. I'll click on settings over there. And in these settings, I will create one secret. So in that secret, I will be putting the value of the service principal as such. Now, if you are aware of Key Vault, Azure Key Vault, so it is it is recommended that you do the secret management with the help of Key Vault, and your CI/CD pipelines are just getting the secrets or certificates or the keys from the Key Vault. That is not we are not covering it today. Maybe we can plan another session for that, how to integrate Key Vault in the CI/CD pipeline. Pretty interesting thing. So I will do the, so that's something which I can provide some links to you, and you can see the integration with Key Vault also, right? Now, we'll create some secrets over there. Apart from having the service principal value, I also require the name of the resource group. I also require the name of the AKS cluster. So where I'm doing the deployment. And definitely there is a thing called as a login server name. So this, if you think about this ACR, if you want to do any operation over there, you want to push one Docker image inside the ACR. So you should be having the FQDN of that. You should know like the fully called, you can say the entire URL, or we call it login server name. So login server name needs to be there. So I will copy it as such. I haven't done it yet. And I also need some sort of username, and I need the password, or the authentication should be there to be able to push uh, the artifact inside ACR using my CI pipeline. So let's collect all this information. Right, let's go and collect all this information. So I'll just take you to the Azure portal, and over here, and I'll just open some one notebook, notepad file, which I have in my secondary screen. It's for me to remember what all I need to copy and so on and so forth. So I will just open that, and I'll bring my notepad here. So I need a couple of information. So the IP address of the current website is required. So this is the IP address over here. This is that. Now I also require the login server name. So I'll go to ACR, and it's on the right hand side, login server. So let's copy this and let's put it over here. I also require the information about my and this is my demo account. So after this session, anyways, I will delete all the service principal and everything. So it's that's why I am okay to show all these details to you. But this is the username, and then we have this password for the ACR, like this, right? Like also all of this information is there. Now, okay, let's create the service principal. That I have not done yet. I think I have copied this information earlier as well. So if you can see, I have the login server name, password, and username already copied with me, and the value should be same. I haven't created the service principal, so I will quickly click on Cloud Shell. Cloud Shell is a Linux VM which is running behind the scenes. And in this Cloud Shell, I will run one-liner command over there, and that one-liner will create the service principal for me, right? So I already have a backup of this entire thing with me in case something goes wrong. So I will just quickly check that did I deleted the earlier service principal or not, or otherwise we will just use the same service principal. So app registration, and I don't have anything. Okay, great. So if I take you back to my notepad, I'm running this one liner command over here. So let's zoom out and let's put it here. So Azure AD service principal creation, and the name of the service principal will be there. And this service principal will be having contributor label. So this is where RBAC comes into picture. You can further learn about RBAC, and I'll just copy this and I will execute it over here. And I'm going to zoom in so everybody gets more comfortable with it. And it will throw me one output. That output is something which I will be saving. So this is the important information. I will just quickly copy this and put it inside the notepad. Otherwise, we have to create it again, or we have to copy all of that from the UI. That will take some time, right? So let's copy this. Now we'll go to the repository. In the repository over here, I'll click on the settings. And in the setting, there is a secret section on the left hand side to use GitHub Actions. You go to the secret, and we will create new secrets over here. So I will, and all the secret identifiers which we will be creating, the name of the secret, that needs to be used inside your workflow. So the YAML file which we will write, we will use these secrets in that YAML file. So they have, you can say whatever names I'm going to give here, the same names I have to use in my YAML file. Otherwise, it will not work. So I will just copy that service principal output. I'll just put it here. So this one, I'll remove this space. Okay, let's create another secret. Okay, so the second thing which I copied was IP address. So this is the IP address of the running website, of the current running this e-commerce website. So yeah, that's correct. And I will just take the login server name, which is the ACR name. It's basically a type of FQDN for the ACR. You have to specify that in the YAML files to be able to identify where you are doing the Docker push and from where you are doing the pull operations. So this is the ACR name. And I will zoom in my browser as well so everyone can see. Right, okay. So like this, we for the CI pipeline to be able to upload the artifact inside ACR, we have to provide the authentication and authorization as such, right? So I am just doing a password based, you can say authentication right now, and it will be, and the authorization will be done with the help of service principal, right? So that service principal is having contributor level access. So this is my registry name, and I will just put this over here. Okay, so all the secrets are there in GitHub repository as such, and we have created 5 of them. Now, if I go back to my diagram, the secrets are done. Now, how are we going to create the CI and the CD part of it? So this is where the GitHub action will help us out. Now, when we talk about GitHub actions, there are some elements of GitHub action. So I will just make some boxes here and it will be pretty easy. So if there is any event which happens in the repository, so the first element of GitHub action will be event. There can be multiple type of event. You may have some sort of push, pull, merge, new issue might be there, commit is done, or even comment has been, some comment happened, any failure happened, and so on and so forth. So any event which happens in your repository will do a trigger. So we have to specify that on which event the trigger will be done. So, okay, so this is the first element of GitHub action. We have to specify on which event the trigger happens. Now, what will it trigger? So the entire logic of CI/CD will be written as part of workflows over there, one or more workflows as such. I will be creating 2 workflows one for the build operation, where we will put the unit test, and the other one will be for the deployment as such. So if you can imagine this to be a workflow, so workflow. Now this workflow, uh, okay, so this workflow will be stored in GitHub. That particular YAML file where the workflow is defined is in GitHub. So we will go to GitHub. We will create one directory over there. It is basically inside, and that's the way it is. It will be there. It has to be there. So in GitHub slash workflows folder, in this particular directory, we will create the files, workflows over there, build.yaml and deploy.yaml, two files we will create over. Now, inside the workflow, so imagine this is my build.yaml where the build operation is going on. And inside the workflow, you can have one or more jobs over there. So if you can see that I'll just put two boxes over there. I think we will be having three jobs as such, 3 or 4 jobs in the two examples. We'll see the YAML files in few minutes. So this is one job. Now the jobs can execute in sequential manner. If you have some job which is depending on each other, you want the first one to execute first, then the second one should execute. So jobs can run in sequential manner, or jobs can also run parallelly. So inside the job, see, this job is the one where we are doing the build operation, where you are doing the login, you're doing authentication, you are doing everything inside job. So this is what we were talking about in the diagram few minutes back, that I want to do the vulnerability checks, secret checks over there. I want to scan my code. I want to build test, and I want to put the artifact. So I need the runner, right? The job will be executing on the runner. So which runner do you want? Is it Linux based, or is it Windows based, or is it Mac OS as such? So we have to specify runner, which runner this will be using. And if you have multiple jobs, then which runner will this be using, and so on and so forth over there. So now inside that runner, and this runner can be cloud hosted, it can be on premise, it can be GitHub hosted. Inside the job, which is executing inside the runner, which is nothing more than a VM, right? You will put a VM over there like this. You may have more than one step. Your job might be you may have to do some build, then test, and then you have to register that artifact in the ACR. So jobs will contain steps like that. So this is my step 1. This is my step 2. And let's say I have step 3, and so on and so forth like this. So there are multiple steps over there. Now these steps will execute in sequential manner. They are running inside the same runner, right? It's technically not possible for them to be outside, because you can see in the box also it represents the job runs in the runner, and step is just a part of the job over there. Now they are running in this sequential manner like this. So sequentially. Now what is there inside these steps which are getting executed right now? I can write my custom scripts. I can definitely write my custom scripts. You can use PowerShell scripts, you can use CLI, you can use other bash scripts as well. You can write them. Now, if you don't want to use, see, if something can be, it's good to, if you can simplify the workflow, it is something which is easy to maintain, easy to create, easy to read, and so on and so forth. So now we have this concept of GitHub. We have the concept of actions as. Now actions are basically provided by the GitHub itself. Actions, you can also create custom actions. You can use somebody else's action which is publicly available. All of those type of things are possible. There is a marketplace I would like to show you before I explain further. And I have the link of the marketplace with me in my notepad. And I'll just take you back to the Azure, sorry, to the browser. And here I have this action. This is the marketplace. So we will type Azure. Here you will find actions for other clouds as well. I will just click on Azure. So I have this Azure Web App Action, which will be doing deployments. Azure Login Action is there. So if you want the CI pipeline to be able to register something inside ACR, and if you don't log in, then it's not practically going to work. or if you want to run some template infrastructure as code template and you don't have the authentication authorization, then it will not run. So you have to log in. So login actions are there. Now I don't have to write a script for login. They have provided the ready-made actions over there, which will look like this. See, it's as simple as this. So this is Azure login version 1. It will use credentials to login. And if you can see Azure credentials, that's the same name which we have given just to make sure that just to provide, you can say, reduce the number of steps we have doing. So this credential, whatever I have given over there, will be used by this login action to do the login. Now there are other actions here. ACR actions are there. We have MySQL actions, Key Vault actions are there. You can have a look at these actions. It's a marketplace. You can create custom actions. You can use somebody else's action in their public repositories, private repositories. Private repository which of somebody, if somebody else has created some action in their private repository, you cannot use it. You have to create in your own repository, and then definitely you can also use it. And you can further publish it to marketplace if you want others to use it as well. So I have the marketplace, and let's go back. So if I just put what are actions, they are predefined, right? They can be predefined, they can be custom, they simplify the code. Anything which you are frequently using, you can create an action, you can create an action out of it, and you can use it like this. Scripts you can write, so like this. Okay, so in a nutshell, this is what we will be working with. These are the elements of the workflows as part of GitHub Action. Let's do this now. So we will be creating one workflow, and it will have we will create two workflow, one for CI, one for CD, and we will do some event based triggers over there. We will create, you'll use some actions as such. We will use some inline script as well in few of these steps, and we have to put those files inside the GitHub slash workflows folder inside the repository. So what I have done is I will just quickly, I'll do one thing. I'll just quickly go to VS Code if it is open. Okay, great. So this is the VS Code, and I will just zoom in for you. This is the same repository which I have already git cloned in the morning, and I will create those workflow files over there. So the very first thing which comes to mind is that we have to create that folder. So I'll just quickly create that .github, and in this particular folder, I will be creating one more. It is workflows like that. And inside the workflows, we will be creating the files, right? So the file which I'm going to name will be build.yaml like this. Okay, now, okay, so this is the build.yaml which is there. Now, if I zoom in for you and just make sure that it looks like this, and let's do this. So now you have to specify a couple of information. So you have to name your workflow. Some name needs to be given. What is the trigger on which the workflow will execute? We have to specify that, and how many jobs do we have? So like, how many jobs do you have? So basically, the name of the workflow which I'm going to create is eShop deploy. So that's the name of the workflow, and on which event will it get triggered? We will trigger it on push event, and you can specify that that push event is going to be there in which particular directory path. So there is so if you remember, we were talking about that we will be working with a coupon service today. So I would like to, oh, sorry, just give me 1 second. Let me quickly, sorry, this is the build one which I'm creating. Okay, so this is the first one, the build one. Now we will be doing this on the push, and we can specify on which path or what path it should be. Uh, you can say monitoring or getting triggered with. So I have the path with me, and today we are working with the coupon service. I will just quickly copy that path from my secondary screen. I have the completed file over there, which I'm referring to right now, so I don't make any mistake, and then I have to go back and find that, troubleshoot that. But anyways, so and in which branches are we going to look for? So we will be working with the main branch. So like this. And what is the job? So you have to name the job. The job, whatever name you give, will be visible there in the GitHub later on. So I will just call it build and push, say Docker image. Over here, build and push Docker image. That's the name of the job which we want. Now, what is a runner? Where will it run? So you have to specify runs on, like this. So these runners are case sensitive. You should be aware of the runners which are there. I have just copied Ubuntu. We will be using Ubuntu latest. The job runs on the Ubuntu latest. Now, how many steps are there when this in this runner, in this particular job? How many steps are there? So if we practically think it through, so we have to name those steps. So we are doing 3 steps as such. The first step is get the code from the repository. Right. The second step which we want to uh, do is we want to run some test on top of it. So run unit test on top of it. And then the third step which we want to do is we want to maybe build and push the Docker image inside ACR. So there are 3 steps which we are doing. Now, inside, okay, let's complete them. So in the first one, so what will this be using? Okay, sorry, I will just give spaces over here. Okay, yeah, looks better. Okay, so in the first one, we what are we using? So this is uses. So uses is basically which action is it using? So we have the action called as actions, and the first is the checkout action. That's the one which I was in the login one. This was visible before that. Now this, and which reference is it going to use? So we are referring to the main branch right now. So like this. And once and where is my test files? So in my repository, the test files are available in a particular path. So I will just copy that from my secondary screen, and I will say that the test files are over here. So let's put it there. Okay, now in what is the environment which is required? So if you have to define any environment variables, you can also do that. So I have few environment variables which I will again just use. So okay, these are my environment variables. And the third thing is that we want to, once the image has been built, we would like that image to be pushed inside ACR. The artifact should be there in ACR. So I will use this Docker build push action, and it is basically having version 1.1.0 like that. And it needs some secrets to be able to execute. So those secrets are the ones which we have already created in the repository settings. So I'm just going to put them over here. So if you see, we have the username, password, registry, path, the Docker. There is a Docker file as well. The Docker file will have all the information how the Docker image needs to be created. That is already in the repository. I haven't shown you before, and what tags are going to be there, and we have to do the push operation. So this is the first workflow. I will just quickly do one thing. Okay, great. So let's quickly save this, and I will sync this, and I have created the first workflow over there, and let's sync it. Okay, so all the changes which we are making are going into the GitHub/workflow folder. So if I just go to my repository and wait for a couple of seconds over here. Okay, so this is the GitHub/workflows, and inside that we have the build.yaml. That's the one which we just created. So this is the one which will be executing whenever there is any push which happens in this particular path, and it will do the code checkout, it will run the unit test, and it will push the image into ACR. So if I go back to my diagram, I am just showing you the CI part over there, right? So this is where we are. All of this is what we are defining. Now, so we have to trigger this somehow. So what we have done, so in this particular example, there is an bug in the code. The unit test will fail. Basically, error will happen, unit test will fail. So intentionally, we have to make it fail once, and then we will go back and we will see that we'll see whether it runs or not. Okay, so I am just going to do that. So let me open VS Code again. And the change which we will be making is available we'll go to the source. We have to find the coupon service here, services, coupon. And inside the coupon service, we will be working with the controllers. And in the controller, coupon controller is there. So the logging is yet not enabled in this example. So we are enabling the logging over there. And then once this logging has been enabled, everything will be all the discounts which are being applicable, all the errors which are coming, and so on and so forth will be getting logged. That's what we want to enable as such. Now, I will just quickly sync this back. And this is supposed to trigger the first workflow which we created, but it will fail because of the intentional error which will come, right? So we'll see it. So we are just working with we have enabled the logging over there. Okay. Okay, let's go back. So I'll just zoom out, right? You see this action section over here. If I just click on the action over there, if I just zoom out over here and just click on the action, you will see that we have this eShop build action, which has already started executing. And if you want to see what happens, you click on it, and then you further click on it. It will show all the information here. The job was set up, pull operation happened, the code, get the code from the repository, unit test is going on, and the unit test should break. It should throw some error. So we'll see the error will happen here, and then we'll go and we'll fix it. Right. So let's wait for it to fail. Okay, but basically this is from where you get all the logs. You just click on the action section, and then you can check out your progress over there. So let's fix this, and then this unit test will pass, and we will move to the next phase. Now I will go back to the VS Code, and to fix that, I will first zoom out slightly. It's too zoomed in for me, and I will just quickly go to the test and services, okay, and coupon APIs. And inside coupon APIs, we have controllers. Controllers is having the coupon test controller, and I am just bypassing it right now. Sort of, it's not even, we are not fixing anything, we're just bypassing it. But this is just to show you that how you can. So this is just to show you that how do you integrate the unit test over there, and you can put it like this. So I have sort of bypassed it in this point in time just to make sure that it runs. And if I just go back and sync it again, so I have fixed it. So I'll just say that I have, it's just symbolic, right? It's just to show you how it's done. So, okay, now that and then that workflow will again execute, and this time the code will be of the quality which is expected, and then it will basically, the workflow will not fail. And if you can see the fix the error, and if I just click on it, okay, and just click on it. So now the Docker image which already is getting created, the unit test is going on right now. The Docker image which will get created will be pushed inside my ACR. So if I go to the Azure portal, click on resource group, go to the container registry, we will see that artifact getting registered here in next few minutes. The Docker image may take some time to get created, but it will finally come here, right? So let's wait for that to go on. Okay. We have to wait for a few minutes for this to complete. And okay, so in the meantime, let's discuss something out. So if you must have heard about that there is a concept in security called as shift left, right? Don't check for your security when you don't check for don't do the security scans after the deployment and so on and so forth. Make sure that in this CI/CD pipeline, the more left you can go, the better it will be. So, for example, do the scanning here, scan your put some scans in the CI pipelines. You can scan your images as well, and do all the testing over there. So shift left is something which is pretty logical as well. Okay, great. So it completed. And if I go to my repository and refresh, this is the artifact which is there, Coupon API. If I click on it, it is Linux latest was the tag. And this is the image command. There's a path of where my artifact is there. Now, what I want to do is I have the artifact with me. There are many things which I have not done here. If I show you each and every, you can say if we go in, there are a lot of more details which definitely you have to go into. It will take 4 or 5 hours to show everything over there. So we have the artifact. Now I don't have 3 deployment locations. I don't have test stage and production. I just have the testing one. I just have one Kubernetes cluster, or you can imagine that to be the production one. Maybe you are doing a testing in ACA or something. So I don't have 3 stages right now. I just have one stage. So just keep that in mind. And you can definitely do that. I trust you with that. Now I'll go back to my GitHub workflows, and I would like to create another deploy.yaml workflow here. And in this deploy.yaml workflow, we will be specifying the CD part of it. And the target location is AKS as such. So the same thing happens. I will specify the name. I'll put the name of the workflow. We have to specify on which trigger will it execute, and you have to specify what jobs are there, right? And inside jobs, steps, and then the run, which runner you want to use, and all the steps over there. So I will just quickly start the copy paste operation, or I'll just do one thing. I'll walk you through it. So you have already seen this before. So I will just walk you through this time. So we are creating the workflow which is having a name eShop deploy, and it is getting triggered whenever any push happens in this particular path, which is like a Helm path, where the Kubernetes package Helm is like a Kubernetes package manager, and we are referring to the main branch right now. And the name of the job is deployed to AKS, Azure Kubernetes Services. It runs on the runner called as Ubuntu latest. The first step is where I'll just put my cursor here. So the first step is where we are setting the context. So if you work with AKS, there is a step over there. It's like a login process. You have to get the credentials and you have to locally store it as such. So the credentials which are getting, you can say, the context which is getting pulled from the cloud will be there inside the runner over there. So we are using this set context action, and it is going to use credentials. And the resource group is eShop learn hyphen RG. And I have left it default. We have made no change, so that should match with what we have in the resource group. We'll just double check it before it fails. eShop learn AKS, great. And get the code from the repository, do the checkout, refer to the main branch, go to the Helm tool installer, use this section which will install it, log in into Azure. At this step, Azure login will happen. To log in into Azure, use service principal, which is already there in the settings in the repository. And once that is done, if you can see this, run. So just imagine that you are sitting on the PowerShell prompt, or you're sitting on the Bash prompt, or you're sitting on command line, a CMD prompt as such, and you type something and you press enter. This is equal to that. So the third step which we are running is deploy step, and it will be running one command inside the runner in the console over there. So it is basically doing one Helm upgrade. What it will do, it will take the changes which we are making, and it will deploy that into AKS. So this is the deploy.yaml file. We will save it. We'll do the same process. We'll save it. And I want this to be there inside my workflow slash GitHub slash workflow location. So deploy. And okay. So, and it is going to be triggered, and we have to trigger it. It will not get triggered because the artifact. Okay, so we have to trigger this again, right? So basically, if I just show you that it is now synced with GitHub or not, let me just click on the workflow, and this is my deployed.yaml. Okay, everything looks great. Let me trigger that. So to trigger that, I'm just updating the version of the Helm package manager as such. I'll go to VS Code, and I'm going to go to the location where we have the path which we have specified. It's basically deploy slash K8 Helm hyphen simple coupon and chart. That's the path which we are looking for right now. This is not really getting triggered based on the artifact, but yeah, that can also be done. So I will just open that. Okay, deploy, and then I'll go to K8 Helm simple. If I open it, coupons. So these are other microservices. And inside coupon, I will just go to the chart, and I will make one small change over here. This will trigger it. So let's save it. I'll just go to source, and I will make this change. Okay, so I have updated the version. So, okay, so this time it is going to run that CD pipeline which is there. So if I go to actions, the eShop deploy will execute. If everything is fine, all the secrets are fine, this will get completed in few minutes. So it is setting up the job. And so if you can see that all the steps are executing, and it seems to have finished. Okay, great. So things are still running, and we have if I just refresh this, I just want to check whether these microservices are still healthy or not. And the dashboard will update. Okay, seems to be healthy. So if I go to my dashboard, basically we have enabled the logging. We haven't done anything, you can say big, but we have just enabled the logging. So if I just, you can say, okay, something, let me just quickly, my screen is getting stuck. So let me quickly check for the health again. Yeah, okay, everything is fine. So let me just log in one more time. It was getting stuck. So if you're using this particular example, the username and password are there in the page itself. and you can use this username and password to be able to show your demos. So like this, and basically if I just click on the cart, I can do the checkout, and there are some discount coupons which are there, and there is a particular string which I have to type over there. So I'm just looking in my secondary screen for that particular value. What was it? So it is DISC-5. So we are so there. This user is having two discounts. This person can get 5% discount and 10% discount. So some apply, and you get the discount and place the order. So we have enabled the logging. Everything will be logged at the backend. That's what is going on. So logging was not enabled earlier, and there is another coupon discount which is available for 10%, which we can also see. But this is what I wanted to show you, or this is what I wanted to cover for the session, where we are creating where we have understood the background why we need DevOps, and there are more details into it. Maybe in some future session we can go in all the different details. We can check out the different boards which are there. We can create some. We can go into Azure DevOps as well. We can see. So we have talked about the CI, and we have understood what is a continuous delivery, continuous deployment. We have also seen the fundamentals behind the GitHub Actions, and these GitHub Actions are having events, workflows, jobs, steps, runners, and the files will be in the workflow directory over there. We have created some service principal which is required for the purpose of deployment, and we have deployed the microservice. We have created the CI/CD for the coupon microservice today. So this is what I had for the sessions, and let's go through the questions. You can feel free to ask your questions. And I will also provide you with all the links in case you want to do it. Definitely, I will just put the links in the chat window for you to have a look at that. Okay, so the GitHub repo link, I'll also provide you the GitHub repo link. Okay, and there are more details into each and every thing which we have done. So the one of the good documentation will be if you go to MS Learn. On MS Learn, I'll just show it to you, right? Like what is the next step? So this is MS Learn. And in MS Learn, basically, I will just search for GitHub Action over there. And if I just click on it, you will get some results as such. And now as part of these results, if I just click on the learning path, it makes it in a more sequential manner. If you click on this, you can click on automate your workflow with GitHub Action. So whatever we have done, it will have that, and it will even cover many more things. And if you see, we have an introduction to GitHub, automate the task about with GitHub Actions, and this is the CI, and that's the CD deployment of the applications, and how can we write our scripts, and how can we can create our own custom packages. Now, I just want to show you something which is very interesting. So for the purpose of learning, what the GitHub Learn team has done, if I click on the exercise section over there, and if I just click on the start learning like this, then what it does, it gives me an interactive way of learning. So, okay, this seems to have been executed. Okay, so let's see the other one, something which is not executed before. So let's go a few steps back. I'm not sure where it went. Okay, so I think the CD, if I go to the CD part, then just want to show you something pretty interesting. So even if you are new to this concept, if you're new to GitHub Action, it is doing like a hand holding for you. So if I click on the exercise, and if I click on this start learning on GitHub, it will start the free course like this. It will clone everything in my repository. Right. So everything is getting cloned into my repository. And then if I click on start, so I can configure the trigger on label, trigger on specific label, environment, staging, workflow, configuration, cleaning of the resources, and so on and so forth. So you have to click on start. And then in a very interactive manner, there is a bot over here. Basically, welcome to the course. We are we are going to understand what is CD, and we will do some kickstart of the deployments. And this is one. So it will tell you that go to this particular location, put this file over there. Once you have done that, then the next step will execute only after that. So they have created an interactive way in which you can do the learning by using GitHub Actions itself, like that. So if I finish this, then it is throwing some error right now. Once I complete that task, the next step will happen. So the next instruction will come, and then I have to do that. The next instruction, then we have to perform that, and by the end of it, by once we have fixed everything, once everything works, the lab will complete. Okay, so I'll just give you these links in the chat, and this is something which is the next step. These actions can also be achieved using Azure DevOps. Yes. So I can say that the CI/CD pipelines can be created with Azure DevOps, or to be honest, GitHub Actions are inspired from Azure DevOps only. And whatever we used to do in Azure DevOps, we can do with GitHub Actions in the repository itself. And if you have, you can say, and it can go beyond just simple events like pull, push, or merge. Maybe you do a rebase. We can also run these actions on many more events. So all those functionalities are not there in current Azure DevOps pipeline or the Azure DevOps tool. So GitHub Action is providing its own set of features. Okay, what are the other options available other than GitHub Actions? We have Azure DevOps, which is another thing which we're talking about. And we can create the CI/CD pipeline. You must have heard about other tools as well. Jenkins is there. Circle CI, Jenkins, and so on and so forth. It's a pretty big world. Okay, any other question which comes to mind? So the session is slightly 20 minutes short today, but if you have questions, please go ahead.
I've enabled mics for everyone as well. Like you can unmute and ask questions as well. By the way, amazing session, Shivam. I mean, it was really amazing.
Thank you.
It covers almost everything about building and deploying an app.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shivam, for wonderful session. Yeah, I was using GitHub just for some code merge or branching, but yeah, today I got to know how that automatically happening using GitHub Actions. Thanks a lot for that.
Thank you. Most welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Shivam. It is a very nice session. Prior to this session, I only use the GitHub for only the code checking process. So today I learned that action and how we integrate and perform CI/CD.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Most welcome, guys.
By the way, I've also posted the Learn module, um, where you can also go through one by one, step by step, the same thing which Shivam actually explained. I think I think this learn module also has sandbox. I'm just not sure. Just check it out. Oh, Shivam, there is a question actually.
Okay.
For runners, how we can use Azure VMs?
Now for we have to configure in the same manner. The runner will be the VM will be there inside Azure. There is a particular agent which will be installed over there, and then we have to specify the IP address of the runner, and the service principal needs to be defined. And there is a process around that. Once it is done, it will be detected, and then it will be part of the pipeline. So I'll just see if I can find any link of that, and I'll just give you that in the chat in few minutes.
Shivam, if you can share your LinkedIn, LinkedIn profile link as well, that would be helpful for
Sure,
people. If they have any questions, they can also reach out to you.
sure. So the my LinkedIn profile is there in the chat, and if you have any follow-up question, feel free to ask. So I'm just putting that link in the chat window where we are from the documentation of GitHub itself, where we can configure self-hosted runner. There are further hyperlinks over here. You can have a look at that. And with this flow or logic, you can host your own VM in Azure, which will become the agent or the runner for the workflow. Have a look at that.
A recording of this session will be uploaded to our Reactor YouTube channel. I've just posted the link as well. Rashmita,
Yeah, I think we don't have any more questions, or should we wait for some more time, or should we end the session?
meanwhile, you can share the survey link and
Yeah, let me do that. Please feel free to drop any questions if you have. Shivam can take while we are waiting for another 2 minutes to end the session. I think we don't have any more questions. So thank you, Shivam, so much for the session. And please feel free to do event check-in and share your feedback about today's session. Also, please visit our Microsoft Reactor Bengaluru meetup page for more upcoming session. Thank you all once again.